안녕하세요. Hello, Korea. So for those of you that don't know in the audience or those watching at home, I was literally the very first person in the entire world to start investing in this ecosystem almost 13 years ago, back when I had zero gray hair. And now I have shorter hair with some gray ones mixed in. But I wouldn't trade a thing for it because it's been such a really, really exciting ride from being the founder of Bitcoin.com and a co-founder of Blockchain.com and XRP, and basically single-handedly funded almost the entire first generation of Bitcoin companies way back in starting in February of 2011. But I want to talk about why that's so exciting, right? We have this title, Breaking Chains with Blockchains. And actually this entire presentation, I collaborated quite a bit with different AI tools to come up with. And as clever as I like to think I am sometimes, I thought that title was really clever, Breaking Chains with Blockchains. ChatGPT came up with that for me when I tried to explain to it what I was trying to convey. And that can have a lot of different meanings here, right? So like, what chains are we breaking with blockchains? Well, I think there's a lot of chains that can be broken with blockchains, namely things of the past, right? So we're breaking old systems and replacing them with new things built on blockchains, which enable more personal freedom for people around the world. And so this is really an important aspect for me as one of the older people in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. I'm going to turn 45 here very shortly. But way, way, way back when I was a teenager, I got my start in business selling things on the internet in the late 1990s. And in the late 1990s, there was certainly no Bitcoin. There was no PayPal. There was almost no easy way to send money to people over the internet. And in the earliest days of e-commerce in the US, I was selling computer parts on a website called eBay. And way back then, the way people would pay each other on eBay, again, it wasn't with PayPal, it wasn't even with credit cards. They would go to the local post office and buy a postal money order, which is basically a check that you buy with cash at the post office. Then you would send that in the mail with a stamp in an envelope. And myself as the seller, I'd have to wait several days for the letter to show up in the mail. And then when it would arrive, I would go and have to ship out their product. But it delayed the entire purchase process by multiple days. Whereas then later, things like PayPal came along, and we were able to do things much, much faster. But it didn't really work in every country. There's lots of countries, I think, probably even today, that PayPal doesn't serve. But it certainly sped up the process from taking days or weeks to just minutes or sometimes even seconds, depending on which blockchain. But it also enabled people all over the world to transact financially with people all over the world. And we saw in one of the earlier presentations, we're talking about money is such a powerful, powerful invention that allows people all over the world who have never met each other to collaborate with each other. And the more friction we can remove from that sending and receiving of money all over the world, the easier it'll be for these people all over the world to collaborate with each other. And a lot of people talk about capitalism as being, cutthroat competition. And yes, there's a lot of competition, but we're all competing to collaborate and cooperate more effectively. So it's a competition to see how we can cooperate more effectively. And I think that's a really wonderful thing. And blockchains, of course, are helping to enable that by speeding up the amount of time that it takes in order for us to send and receive that money. And talk about an exciting thing, right? Lots of us here have flown in from all over the world to be here today. Well, blockchains and cryptocurrencies work all over the world. In every single country of the world, if you have access to the internet, you can use cryptocurrencies. And as we saw from an earlier presentation, which is something that I was excited about the early crypto people talking about, it doesn't even matter if you're human or not, right? These AI agents are going to start using cryptocurrencies because as much as I love WorryBank, I don't think WorryBank's going to open a bank account for ChatGPT. But these AIs are going to be able to use cryptocurrencies, and they will use cryptocurrencies to pay other AI entities, or to pay humans, or to pay who knows what's going to be next. And speaking of what's going to be next, one of the other really fun discussions that was on the earliest Bitcoin discussion platform was bitcointalk.org. And I think it was probably in 2011, people were asking each other, what are you the most excited about Bitcoin for? And one of the more interesting discussion platforms, as funny as it sounds, somebody said, the thing I'm the most excited about Bitcoin for is because now when we finally make contact with aliens, we won't have to be embarrassed about the type of money we're using anymore. And I thought that was a really interesting and fun thing and people are excited about so many different things, but that was one, because if you think about it, what we've been using up until now, like pieces of paper and handing them back and forth, or little round pieces of metal, like that's been the money for thousands of years, and now finally we do have something much, much better in the form of cryptocurrencies. And again, it's completely permissionless to use. As much as we all love our local banker, they're not going to be allowed to, or not going to be able to, for one reason or another, open bank accounts for these artificial intelligences that are going to be coming into our world, everything, everywhere, all at once. It's really happening quickly. And so it's completely permissionless to use, whether you're a human or not. Cryptocurrencies are for you. As long as you're a thinking entity, you can sign up and start using it. In fact, just while I was backstage, it's my first time in my life, I'm wearing a little makeup, but the girls that were helping me put on the makeup here backstage, I set all of them up with cryptocurrencies wallets and sent them some, and they were all really amazed how easy it was. And in fact, I sent the first girl some, but I told her she had to send more to her friends via KakaoTalk. And they were amazed that right now today, using the Bitcoin.com wallet, you can send money via KakaoTalk. And then once they have that, they can then deposit into Upbit or wherever else they want in some other country and can convert back to their local currency or whatever they want to do. It's really an amazingly powerful technology for everybody, from anyone everywhere, whether they're working on AI or doing makeup. Cryptocurrency works for you right now today with no prerequisite qualifications. It just plain works. And again, peer-to-peer is so incredibly important for blockchains, right? We've had fast payments previously, right? You can send from, Worry Bank to Hana Bank basically instantly, but it's not peer-to-peer, because if for some reason at some point they think what you're doing is suspicious, and even if it's completely a mistake on their part, they can block your payments, they can freeze your accounts, they can tell you don't have the right permission slip to be able to send that amount of money to whoever it is. That's the problem. That's slowing the spread of the information that's being conveyed by money whenever anybody sends one piece of money to one type of money to somebody else anywhere in the world. And so cryptocurrencies solve that problem by allowing anyone, and in fact, as nice as the girls backstage were, I don't even know their names, but I sent all of them some money, and they might not know my name either, but that just shows how powerful it is, and there was literally no sign-up process. Some of them had Samsung phones, some of them had iPhones, but it just works for anyone and everyone. And in fact, you can even print up cryptocurrencies onto pieces of paper and give it to people on pieces of paper as well. And again, that just points out to the fact, like, there was no Worry Bank, Hana Bank, Toss Bank, there was no Bank of America, Bank of England, there was nobody in between myself and the ladies backstage as I sent them the cryptocurrency. It was directly from person to person, but it can also be done over the internet remotely via Facebook or KakaoTalk or Telegram or whatever you want. And that's really, really amazing and important for the entire world to help collaborate and cooperate more effectively to produce the most amount of things for the most amount of people in the most effective way. And I heard on our last speaker, he was talking a little bit about sustainability. I think that's important, but people get confused and they kind of feel like we're playing with this zero-sum game. If you look at the world today, there's more people alive today than at any point ever in the entire history of humankind. Yet the average standard of living for people today is better than it's ever been at any point in the entire history of humankind. And that's a really, really big deal. And that's because humans, through ingenuity and our knowledge and our brain, we figure out how to take things that previously nobody wanted and cared about and make things that people want out of it. And so one big example of that, today everybody knows how important oil is. But not all that long ago, if you found oil on your land was worth less because of this gooey, horrible black mess that made a mess and nobody knew what to do with it, and it was just this horrible substance that nobody wanted anything to do with. Whereas now today, I'm sure my sneakers are made of oil, the plastic in this clicker is made of oil, probably the microphone's made of oil. All sorts of things are now made out of something that previously people hated and didn't want anything to do with. And that just shows how amazing brain power is in order to take products that people didn't even know what to do with previously and figure out how to provide for the needs and wants and desires of people around the world. But the way they're able to do that is through money. And so there's a fantastic book I would encourage anybody to read. It's called iPencil. And it's the story of a pencil. And the pencil makes the claim that there's not a single person alive on the entire planet that knows how to make me. And of course, when people first hear that claim, they think, a pencil, that's so simple. Everybody knows how to make a pencil. It's a pencil, it's easy. But if you really stop and think about it, there's the wood in the pencil, right? So there's some lumberjacks somewhere that chop down trees, and they're using chainsaws and the chainsaws are made of iron ore that's dug out of the ground somewhere else and then sent to a factory that refines the iron ore into the pieces that go into the chainsaw. And the chainsaw runs on gasoline that comes from oil that's pumped out of the ground somewhere else, and then the oil is shipped on a big tanker ship to a refinery somewhere where they turn it into gasoline. And then there's the little rubber tip on the tip of the pencil that's made from, rubber trees in maybe Thailand. And then there's the little graphite that's inside that's dug out of the ground somewhere else and goes to a refinery. And if you think about it, literally tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people are all collaborating together to make something as simple as a pencil. And it's really true that there's not a single person on the entire planet that knows how to make something as simple as the pencil that you can buy at the local convenience store for just a few minutes worth of your labor. But the way all of that is possible and the way those millions of people are able to collaborate with each other is through the use of money. Because the chainsaw operator buys the chainsaw from a factory who he pays with money, and then the factory pays the employees with money, and the employees pay for the things that they need with money. And it's the flow of money all over the entire planet that enables these people to all collaborate with each other to do these things and produce the things that people want, whether it's a pencil or a microphone or a big conference venue like this. It's the money flowing from person to person that transmits that information as to what things people want without having to use words. So when I go to the convenience store and buy that pencil, I know nothing about the people that were involved delivering it to the convenience store, the factory that made it, the people that supplied the factory. I know nothing about any of them. But the fact that I was willing to pay, a couple hundred won probably for a pencil transmits that information that I value the pencil more than the won that I paid for it, and allows all those people to continue doing those things. And it's really, really, really the reason why cryptocurrencies were so exciting to me, because it allows that information to flow more smoothly and more quickly and more effectively. And that leads to a higher standard of living for all of humankind. And again, whether it's a pencil or a cup of coffee, no matter how big or how small, cryptocurrencies are enabling this flow of information around the world. And the more easily that information can flow, the better the standard of living all of us are going to have. And fast, of course, right? So I have to give a lot of credit to Korea, though. I've been spending a lot of time in Korea since COVID ended. Domestic Korean bank transfers are really, really quick and really, really fast, but they only work in Korea. And if I want to send money outside of Korea or receive money into Korea, it takes days or sometimes weeks. And it's really, really frustrating. But inside Korea, wow, is that fast. I'm really impressed. But the rest of the world doesn't have a banking system that's as fast and effective as Korea. And so cryptocurrencies solve that problem for every single person, everywhere on the planet, everywhere all at once. This is so exciting for everybody, because wouldn't it be nice if everybody had access to a banking system that was as fast and effective as the local domestic banking system in Korea? But for every single person on the planet, think about how much more information could be sent via these financial transactions happening everywhere, and how much more efficiently the entire world's economy would be able to produce the goods and services that people want if we were able to have something that fast and effective. Well, thanks to the invention of cryptocurrencies, we now do all over the world. And the girls backstage, again, they were amazed when they saw how fast and easy it was. It literally took them longer to download the app in the App Store than it did to start sending and receiving the money. And again, I explained to them when I sent them some Bitcoin Cash, because that's one of my many favorite cryptocurrencies. I like anything that works. But the fee to send a Bitcoin Cash transaction was about 1 single won, basically free. Although the Korean, I have to say it again, the Korean domestic banking platform, really, really fast and free for just about everything, but it only works in Korea, unfortunately not the rest of the world. And again, we've been hearing more and more about AI in the world recently. Cryptocurrency is perfect for that, right? So the AI can go and evaluate all the different cryptocurrencies out there and figure out which ones it likes, which ones it doesn't, and it knows it's not going to have the rug pulled out from under it. Before COVID, I spent a lot of time in Japan, and I speak Japanese pretty fluently. My Korean's coming along, but one piece of history that I think may apply to Korea as well. I should have researched that before this talk, but in America, we have these things called silver dollars. They're a 1-ounce silver coin that at one point were worth $1. And right now, $1 equals about 150 Japanese yen. But before World War II, 1 Japanese yen was a 1-ounce silver coin, which that means the exchange rate between US dollars and Japanese yen used to be $1 equaled 1 yen. And today those 1-ounce silver coins are worth, I don't know, 20-something dollars, I think, at the moment. That just means that the US government really inflated their currency, but the Japanese government did it even more. And that's one of the beautiful things about cryptocurrencies and this competition around the world, is that now people have a choice as to which form of money they want to save their money in, whether it's the US dollar, the Korean won, silver coins, or crypto coins. People have choice. And when you have more choice in the marketplace, that leads to better outcomes and better possibilities for people around the world. And it's really exciting to see these new choices for people around the world. And most blockchains are public ledgers, right? So we've already seen this happening where people get worried about an exchange not having all the money they're supposed to have. People go and check on the blockchain and say, hey, do they have what they're supposed to have? And so it makes it much, much more difficult for people to commit accounting fraud and these sorts of things. And so it's really nice to be able to have that transparency when people want to have that transparency, or when institutions want to have that transparency, or when the customers want the institution to have that transparency. And again, blockchains really protect the end user. So with other custodians holding your money, you're kind of at their mercy. But with the cryptocurrency that you're holding yourself, it's protected by the laws of mathematics. And no amount of men with guns or threats of violence will change the laws of mathematics. And so the fact that your cryptocurrency is protected by the laws of mathematics, that's the strongest possible way you can enforce your property rights over something. And again, these blockchains are immutable, right? Once it's written into the blockchain, it's there for good. I talked about the person earlier on the forums who was so excited, and the thing he was most excited about Bitcoin was that now we don't have to be embarrassed about the type of money we're using when we finally make contact with aliens. Well, another real interesting thread on the forum there was that the start of the Bitcoin blockchain, if you kind of think about it, it was the true beginning of recorded history. Because before the blockchain, books could be burnt, memories could be lost, history could be written by the victors. But now with the start of the blockchain, we have this immutable history that will be forever unchanging, forever there for everyone to access and check. And so it's really another amazing step in the progress of humankind. And again, AI is going to be using this sort of stuff. We're already seeing, when Ethereum first got started, people weren't really even quite sure what it is. And now we have a whole ecosystem of EVM-compatible chains developing all over the world. And it's only going to happen more and more quickly in more places around the world. And Korea is certainly one of the places that's leading on that front and moving very, very quickly. And again, there's people all over the world, whether it's your GPU at home on your, on your even some notebook computers, or you have a GPU farm, or you're buying specialized mining ASIC equipment. People are doing this all over the world. And just one kind of, I guess, other fun story about this. I visited at one point the largest Bitcoin mining operation in all of North America. And they had rented this giant lumber mill and filled it with Bitcoin mining machines. And it was really impressive to see that. But I did feel a little bit sorry for one of the neighbors. She was complaining to the local newspaper about the Bitcoin mine that was in her town. And she said, and it was really noisy, right? You can hear all these fans going. And the woman said, "It sounds like a jet engine. They're a jet aircraft that's getting ready to take off, but it never leaves." And I felt a little bit sad for her dealing with that. But if you look at the overall benefits, I think it's been pretty good for the world. And again, the revolution started with these public blockchains, but where everything's transparent, like Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, and it was designed to be that way. But more recently, we've seen it start to go to these private blockchains, things like Monero and Zcash and Zeno and things like that. But don't be afraid of these things. One of the things that makes money is the fungibility. And in order for money to be fungible, it has to be private. It's just a different name for the same thing. And so it's exciting to see some of that starting to get more and more traction around the world. And so what about Korea? Well, we see a lot of action happening in Korea. Korea's body culture. That means like do things quickly, get it done. And it's fantastic. But Korea is not the only place in the world. There's lots of competition, specifically from right next door in Japan. But I think Korea is on the right track. I've moved over from Japan to Korea. Here I am, and loving it. But Dubai is calling. St. Kitts is calling. There's lots of competition around the world. Korea needs to make sure that they have open arms and are welcoming this new technology, so that people from all over the world want to come to Korea to do that. So, and if there's still time left, I think that brings us to the question and answer session, I believe. Thank you.
Well, thank you for a very informative presentation. I think that we have a lot of questions from the crowd as well, but I do have some questions of my own as well. So here are some questions that were submitted beforehand.
And to answer your question, yes, I will set you up with a cryptocurrency wallet.
All right,
as well.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, that was my initial question. So first and foremost, here's a question regarding which industry do you think blockchain technology, other than finance, can it be used and put to good use, other than finance?
So I think people don't appreciate just how important finance is. Like money is one of the most important inventions that pushed all of humankind forward. Because without money, you have this coincidence of wants problem. If there's no money and you're a chicken farmer and the guy next door makes computers, but he doesn't want any chickens, you have no way to get the computer you want for your chickens. And money allows everybody all over the world to collaborate with everybody. And so I think I really want to mention once again, go and read that book, iPencil. It's like 50 pages. It'll take you, half an hour or something. It will really change the way you look at the entire world. And it's the money that keeps all of us glued together, whether you speak Korean, English, Japanese, German, whatever. Money is what allows all of us all over the world to collaborate with each other. And cryptocurrencies are the money for the world that will allow us to do that even more effectively into the future. So to answer the question more directly, finance is what enables every single other industry all over the world. So if you make finance more efficient, you make every other industry more efficient as well.
So you actually kind of turned the question around and then answer the question. Well, thank you very much for that. So now moving on to the second question then. You've been in this industry for such a long time. You said that you were one of the first people to invest in the industry. So comparing the industry to maybe 10 years ago, what is the biggest change that you've experienced and that you've seen? And what do you think will be the next field that will see mass adoption?
So when I first got involved, Bitcoin was just an idea. It was an idea of peer-to-peer electronic cash for the entire world. But there were no smartphone wallets. There was only one single wallet for computers, and you had to download the entire blockchain, and it would take, a couple hours to sync. And it was just an idea. But people early on saw what a powerful idea it was. And they were so excited about enabling peer-to-peer cash for the world. And so people all over the world got involved and started building on this platform. That have now become many competing cryptocurrency platforms, but they're competing to cooperate more effectively for all of humankind. And so today it's easy, right? You literally download an app and boom, you can use cryptocurrency to send and receive money with anyone, anywhere in the world. And I think the next big step, and it's one that I haven't played much of a role in directly, but people don't understand how big a deal AI is. And we're right on the cusp of that. Another fantastic book I read as a young man was The Age of Spiritual Machines by Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil is currently in charge of all of AI at Google. And what a visionary that man was. And I remember reading about how before not too much longer, within my lifetime, computers are going to exceed human intelligence. What an exciting, exciting time to be alive. But if you think about it, that's a little bit frightening, but also a really, really good thing. So there's plenty of people on the planet that are much smarter than me that figured out how to invent, light bulbs and the transistor and all these things, but I get to benefit from all of that. And all of us get to benefit from these other smart people around the world that figured out how to do things. Well, pretty soon AI is going to be even smarter than the smartest people out there in the world. And it's going to figure out how to do all sorts of things. But just like I got to benefit from the great ideas of Albert Einstein or Thomas Edison, all of us will get to benefit from these great ideas that's going to be thought up by these non-human intelligences. And it's really exciting to watch that happen. And I'm sure they'll be using cryptocurrencies rather than traditional currencies.
Then, and along those lines, you mentioned that AI will be the next big thing. But what is probably the biggest challenge in mass adoption and getting into AI?
I thought you were going to ask what's the biggest challenge getting into cryptocurrency. And my answer for that is very simple. The biggest challenge for cryptocurrency is regulatory issues. And that may become this biggest challenge for AI stuff because people are afraid of the unknown. And another example of this is too, like, if you take a dog brain and you give a dog brain 1,000 years to try and understand calculus, the dog's brain simply is not going to be able to understand calculus. And likewise, there are certain problems that even if you give the human brain 1,000 years, it's not going to even be able to understand whatever that problem is. But these new superhuman intelligences are going to not only be able to understand what these problems are, but they're going to be able to solve them. And so what's the biggest hurdle there? I think we just need to allow people to innovate and allow people to do anything that's peaceful, and don't be a Luddite. And for those that don't know, a Luddite is somebody that was mad about, I think, the cotton mills. They're taking our jobs and they smashed the automation. Don't smash AI. Don't smash cryptocurrencies. These are going to be beneficial for all of us, all humankind, all over the world.